We all love Scottsdale from the beautiful weather, the rich history, and all that comes with it. But do you really know about the architecture, the history of what happened in that building before their generation? Most of us would say no, which is where these Scottsdale residents, Irina and Igor Ilyinski, are here to help. These two entrepreneurs launched Listen Up, an app to tell you about where you are. So I love this idea of Listen Up, and thank you two for joining me at the table today. I too started this podcast to bring the community together, to bring awareness of who lives here and what's going on, but you two kind of took it to the next level because y'all are diving deep into the details. So Igor, I'll start with you. Where did this idea come up?
Well, in many ways, it's been building for years and years and years, but I just have this hunger for knowledge, and we were all traveling as a family. And
Right before COVID.
When
we were still full,
when we were traveling. And we were in Europe, and, the experience was kind of lacking in several ways. We tried first to make it to tours. We were late. We tried then to download apps. We found the experience to be a little bit disappointing. Ultimately, I just decided to go out and walk and just kind of explore, which is if you've ever traveled, that's kind of like the best way to get to know places.
I agree.
Just explore. I didn't want to have to be someplace at some specific time. I didn't want to have to follow some tour guide around. I just wanted to go where, my heart told me to go. And I ended up someplace where I was really dramatically impacted. I happened to be in the original ghetto in Venice. Learned that ghetto means foundry, has nothing to do with inner city slums.
I was about to ask you, what kind of ghetto were you
in?
Well,
ghetto just means foundry in Italian.
Huh.
It's where they used to make the weapons for the war. And then after the war ended, basically they put all the Jews in this area and closed the entrances and said, you can't leave here between the outer hours of 8 p.m. and morning, when you could leave to go to work. So ultimately, this was all impactful, but my experience was a little bit detracted by the fact that I had to have my phone out and had to stare down at the phone and continuously do research while I'm in this place trying to experience.
Reading your phone and then looking up at the building and reading the phone and like, oh, that's what I'm reading about, kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd go on Wikipedia and be like, okay, well, there's this yellow building. That's the, Sephardic synagogue. And I'd be like, oh, okay, there's that yellow building. And it's like, it's really just makes the experience a little bit less enjoyable.
Takes away from living in the moment, which is what you're trying to do when you travel.
Right. So that was kind of the synthesis of this.
You just decided, hey, there's got to be a better way to do this.
So how did we go from idea to execution to Listen Up?
I think the pandemic, unfortunately, was there, and we had a little bit more free time. He had a little bit more free time, no pickups for school sports, things like that. And he's constantly trying to create different apps for anything that he is interested in. So he's got his own music apps he has created. But this one he started playing around with. Since he did have that free time, he started playing around for us to use it as perhaps a tool when we travel.
Okay.
And you want to
did you enjoy it?
That?
Well, at first, not really, right? Because it was like
I guess that's
definitely a prototype.
That's definitely an entrepreneur kind of comment.
He loves stories, and he loves sharing those stories.
I do. I think the first place that we went was Telluride. And Telluride during the pandemic was just such an amazing place because, it was a cool place to just walk around and experience the culture and experience the history, and had no idea how many historical things had occurred there, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid's first robbery of a bank. And
was in Telluride?
Was in Telluride,
It definitely created a better experience for us to, when we walked out of our Airbnb and just walk around, we actually got the stories of some of these buildings that, turned into a pizza place now. But before, they've got all this history that we didn't know about. So
and that's all because you were doing research and stuff on it.
Yeah. So At that point, I had some folks that are working with me to do the research for me so that I didn't walk into this place already knowing everything. Like that would obviously ruin the experience. So
good thinking, yeah.
Yeah, so we started to kind of develop a community at that point and just people who were interested in places. And I would, in some cases, just hire someone to write stories about this location that I've never been to. And they would find points of interest and they would basically write a story about it. And we would then take voice synthesis and translate it into an audible story that we could listen to while we passed these places. And that was kind of the first iteration of this. And, Irina was like, well, you're slowing us down. You keep stopping. You keep stopping in front of these buildings and staring at them.
I couldn't talk to you while the earpods were in at that time.
So let's kind of talk about that. So you download the app. It's called Listen Up. You download it. I did it before you got here in the studio, and it's really cool because you download it, you give access to everything, you swear on everything, you're not going to sell my information, you're really safe people. I love it. You make jokes about it on everything. You access our microphone, our photos and stuff like that because it goes back, you want the community involved. Like you were just talking about, Igor, you're really trying to bring the outside in. So it's not just everything you find online. Tell us what you know about this building and let's build a community together with Listen Up. I was sitting at my kitchen table and I did this and all of a sudden I was like, what's near me? And they just started talking to me. So I learned about the McDowell Sonoran Preserve is by my house. So we did that. Now, this was what I thought was cool and I have a question about. There was really nothing else around me. I mean, we live in the suburbs in North Scottsdale, but it just started telling me the history of Scottsdale and how it got its name. So tell me how the actual app works with where you're at. I'll start with you, Irina.
Well, we have, you can have programmatic information that is being told about stories about Scottsdale, Arizona in general. And if we have stories specifically to that street, that corner, that block, that's where those stories are going to go.
And that's
why we need the community, right? So the more the community gives us stories and helps us, the more information there is going to be out there. And we try to make it as easy as possible for the community to add stuff. Listen Up is the main platform. It is the main app, but we also have creator tools. So Tour Record, all one word, and it is on the Apple Store right now. It is the easiest thing to use. And Android, yes, exactly. You literally push the green button and you start recording. You can record your voice. You can record any information that if you see a sign, you can read that sign. You can truly tell us stories. And if you give us, either an intersection or a neighborhood, it doesn't have to be Scottsdale. You can be like, I grew up in New Jersey on the corner of X, Y, and Z, and tell us a really interesting story over there. We take those stories, just press send to us, and we truly can create even better stories using artificial intelligence. So don't worry if it's not said eloquently.
It's
it
not
doesn't
your
even
voice.
matter. Right. We transcribe it, and then it gets transcribed into 25 languages.
And what's cool is I had 3 different people, because you can see the little icon of who wrote it and their screen name or whatever. 3 different people were coming up and telling me stuff. And I was like, I was like sitting there typing, and I was like, wait, where is this still playing? And it was telling me how Scottsdale was named, the street that I was on, and what was happening in history there, and how we went from, it used to be called, what was Scottsdale called?
Orangedale.
Yeah, Orangedale, exactly, to Scottsdale. So it really is a little bit of everything. Like we were talking, you don't have to necessarily be in front of the building that you want to learn about. It could be anything. So tell me how it works. It's Bluetooth enabled. You can be anywhere because of the community that we're involving on Listen Up. You've launched Scottsdale, Phoenix, and Flagstaff for the 3 major cities right now. So what can we hear right now here in Scottsdale about?
Yeah, so right now in Scottsdale, there's quite a lot of information, especially down in the Old Town area. But anywhere in Scottsdale, you can kind of hear about the general neighborhoods, the various general landmarks. You mentioned the Sonoran Preserve. Ultimately, it's all to give people a little sense of what they'll get when they use this app and encourage them to contribute. Because without user contribution, we're not going to get to a place where we're really telling each other stories. We can do a lot of this with artificial intelligence. We can actually unleash the AI and say, give us info about any place. We know where a user is by geospatial location, so latitude and longitude and elevation, but then we also know where people are by street name, a city name, a town, the city, like the greater Phoenix area, the state of Arizona, the country of the USA, right? And we don't make assumptions about where people are from, so they may be listening to the tour in French or Spanish or some other language.
So y'all,
right?
that was another thing I wanted to bring up. It's not just in English. How many different languages do y'all have this in?
As of this week, 25 languages.
That's crazy. How do you fact check everything that goes on there or what people are uploading?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we don't. The reality is we're not trying to be Wikipedia. We're not trying to be the de facto truth platform.
We are an entertainment app.
Yeah, I would say
Infotainment.
Yeah, I would,
I like it.
Right. I like infotainment. We tend to look at things from a lens of, our stories will broaden your horizons. So we're not necessarily trying to convince people of anything. And quite frankly, looking at some of the other technologies that are out there like Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok, I mean, everybody's talking about how how much power these companies have to influence, right? Facebook can swing a major election in the United States for its presidency. Right now, TikTok, they're talking about regulating it because it's, run by China and influenced by Chinese leadership. So ultimately, we don't want to get into that situation. Instead, rather than taking on the onus of really moderating and being the de facto regulators of what is truth, we'd rather the community have that power. We'd rather say, you know what, we're not stealing all of the equity of truth here. We're going to give that to the community and let people decide. Let them do their own independent research. Let them share the stories that they know.
We all want that perfect smile. So who better to call for all your dental needs than Dr. Rob DeVito at Arizona Center for Laser Dentistry. Dr. DeVito and his staff offer the best dental experience. Whether it's time for your routine cleaning, one-of-a-kind laser dental treatment, or teeth whitening, their same-day service saves you time and money. And as a mom of 2 little ones, trust me, this is exactly what I need. Give Dr. DeVito a call at 480-990-1905. You can also find him on the web at drdevito.com. You all are also part of the Museum of the West down in Scottsdale, right? So you can listen to the app and walk around in there and learn stuff?
So that's on the roadmap. We're not officially part of them.
Okay.
But what our goal is to really map the entire world with audio stories,
I love
whether
this.
that be indoors or outdoors. And frankly, that means making every museum in the world accessible via your AirPods or whatever headphone device. So
we chose to work with Museum of the West because their director of marketing is very forward-thinking. He is amazing. He understood our concept right away, and he said, yes, we don't have this here. Let's work together. So he's giving us the opportunity to create something that hasn't been done before.
I love that. And it's really just, and I'm with you, when my husband and I travel, we'll go to the museums, we'll always go to a restaurant, and the first thing we do is ask our servers, where should we go? And we're like, and whatever you do not send us to the tourist area. I can do that from online. I want to go where you go to hang out. What are your favorite places to go visit or to go eat or anything like that? Because you go there to get that natural feel of what the city truly is. And you're not going to get that from going on all of these public tours with hundreds or 24 people. I really like this idea, and I think you're onto something, and I know it's going to take off. I love the community involvement too. It really just is bringing stories and people together, because those stories that people upload, that's what we're all interested in. That's the cool thing about this block that you're standing on. And I know there's so many times you walk around a city and you see a plaque and you walk past it. having your earbuds in with this app, it tells you, and you might stop and see something or hear something that you wouldn't have if you were just on a tour or something like that too. So you download the app, you put your earbuds in, so you don't have to be looking at your phone the whole time, which is great.
You press play the first time you open up the app, and you put your phone away.
And
put
then
it in
just
your
like
purse,
that.
put it in your back pocket. Drive around with the Bluetooth on so you can just listen to the stories. You can be biking. You can rent a scooter in Old Town Scottsdale and just get these stories into your ears while you're going around. I usually wear one ear pod when I'm walking around.
I'm with you, yeah. Safety first.
Exactly.
Well, the AirPods these days and most
transparency.
Yeah, most devices do have transparency mode, which is very important. But, these devices are evolving in ways that we can't even, I can think of, but it's hard for most people to think about how these things are becoming much more native to our environment. And, in some period of time, we may just all have some sort of device on at all times in our ears, speaking to us. I mean, if you think about the line between your earpods or Bluetooth device and your hearing aid is really becoming blurred.
Yeah, it really is. And they do have Bluetooth hearing aids now.
That's
and
right.
this goes directly into that, which is awesome.
So it's everything.
It's everything, yes.
What haven't you thought of? I guess you don't know yet, do you?
Well, I wanted to mention a little bit more about the community part and the community aspect. Igor and I did own a small mom and pop shop. We had a cafe in downtown Chicago for many years. And one of the really important things for us with this app is giving the smaller independent businesses that truly make up the rest of the world the opportunity to advertise hyper locally to the people that are walking right by their business, not trying to advertise to somebody sitting on their couch, a couple of towns away. But if you're really walking around, you'll hear the story about the local business, why they opened up, what inspired them to open up, what they do for the community versus, hey, we sell XYZ.
Right.
Come on in. You've got 2 slices for $10, whatever that is. We don't necessarily, that's not what we want to hear. We don't want to feel like we're being sold to, but getting to know the community, getting to know the neighborhood, those businesses make that up, and hearing those stories truly bring people in. So that's a way that they can advertise with us and
I love that.
Share that information.
Another thing I like about the app too is that we can upload pictures and stuff to go along with the stories that the community uploads to kind of correlate that too. So I love that too. So you're not looking, again, bringing out your phone and looking and checking them on, what's that building look like that they're talking about? Like, here's a picture.
Yeah, well, we use a lot of artificial intelligence. So one of the ways that we use it is to try and make sure that the whoever's writing the story, and sometimes it's a human, sometimes it's artificial intelligence itself, but we want to make sure that it's descriptive to the point where you don't have to take out the phone and look at the photo. Look for the yellow building with,
I like that.
The green awning. Look for this and that. And guess what? That changes from time to time. So because we're using text-to-speech and these translation tools, we can have something like that updated in real time.
Yeah.
Based on user feedback.
I love this. I'm so excited. I mean, I got excited just sitting at my kitchen table using it because it just would keep searching, and it would go, it'd be quiet for a minute or so, and then it'd see something else of where I was geolocated and start telling me another story about the streets around me.
Well, it's quiet to let you think.
Right.
Right. So we can't just keep consuming information in endless forms, but the reality is that if you don't shut it up, it will keep talking.
Pretty much
I was just about to say, Irina looks at Igor. It's like, I'm
she's
just
like,
together. That's
who is this modeled after? I wonder.
Well, I love you guys. You're small business owners from Chicago. You live here in Scottsdale.
This is our home for sure.
Absolutely,
love it here.
Really represents what a community means. And you've brought that out. So tell me, Irina, I'm going to start with you first. What is your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
My favorite Scottsdale vibe. I love the food scene.
Yeah.
I am such a foodie, and this town truly has some of the best places I have ever been. We try to go different places.
Genre of food?
No,
I know.
everything.
That's my problem
too. The small mom and pop shops, those are some of my favorites. I do try to stay away from the big chains.
That's fair.
I'd rather, if I'm spending my money, I'd rather spend it with somebody that's local.
Those chains are doing fine.
They are doing perfectly fine. So I love finding places and discovering them and sharing them with everybody.
Yeah, I love that. I'm with you. Everyone's like, are you allergic to anything? I was like, no, my problem is I'm not allergic to anything.
Mine as well.
Yeah. What about you, Igor? What's your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
My favorite Scottsdale vibe is really, I think, the startup scene or the tech scene, if you might call it that. What's weird is that it's not how it was in Chicago or New York, where I grew up. It's not as insular. People here are just very welcoming, and everybody knows what it's like to be from somewhere else. And it takes a certain amount of, I guess, just adventurism to want to move to a place like Scottsdale if you're not originally from here.
Yep.
Right. And so that aspect of people, I think, really draws me because they, like us, just on a whim or sometimes for a job or sometimes,
For the sun.
For the sun.
Yeah, coming from Chicago, yes.
Yeah, it's just, so I really love that people are very open-minded here.
Yeah. I've always said I've lived in a lot of big cities as well, and this is the first place I've ever lived where it really is about collaboration and not competition. And everyone really does have each other's back. And for a huge metropolitan city, I think that says a lot about what Scottsdale represents.
Absolutely.
And you all are helping bring that together with Listen Up. So go download the app. It really is cool, guys. I'm not joking. It's super simple wherever you go. And then participate, bring the community together, and help grow a new community for Listen Up. Igor and Irina, thank you so much for joining me at the table. I have no doubt you're going to be very successful, so thanks for joining me now before you hit it big. And stay tuned. We'll have some calendar of events when we come up.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks. We'll come back when we're big.
I like it.
Go to joinlistenup.com to get more information.
Perfect. And we will have the description and the website link, so you can click right on it in the description of this episode. So always go there and read it and click on that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
With over 20 years of experience in real estate, Sean Shackleton, the Shackleton Group, is ready for you. Sean is a well-respected, full-time agent that is always at the forefront of both market trends and market technology. Most importantly, she is a realtor who will listen and always put your needs first. It's no wonder Sean is named as one of America's top 100 real estate agents. So whether you're buying or selling or need a good neighbor, call Sean of the Shackleton Group at 480-734-7277 or find them on the web at theshackletongroup.com. We've heard commercials for those other insurance agents, but when it comes to someone who knows Scottsdale and the insurance business, there's only one person you can trust with your stuff, and that's Jeremy Mueller of State Farm Insurance. Jeremy and his team of agents have been helping Scottsdale for over 20 years. From big purchases to rentals, there is nothing Jeremy can't cover at the best rate with the best service. Don't believe me? Then give him a call yourself at 480-515-5523 or find him on the web at jeremymueller.com. I hope you have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.